Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about the Pseudo Saturn flash card, among other things. I've actually got a lot of stuff to cram into this video, just odds and ends. So it's a Sega Saturn party. Yeah, let's check it out. So you guys probably already know that there are a couple options to mod your Saturn, allowing various features such as playing games from other regions, playing backup copies of games, um, use the adding the 1 or 4 meg memory for certain games that require it. And the Pseudo Saturn is what seemed to be the easiest way to accomplish this. So I picked it up, and I actually do want to talk about where I got these. Yes, these are reproduction games. Um, I got them from a site called Pug's Treasures. Um, it was all these were sent to me in this mailer, just with bubble wrap between each game. It was pretty minimal packaging, but they survived well. What I got was basically, what I paid for on this is the labor, the time it takes to flash this cart, and to make these. So I paid $19.99 for each game. Although I did end up with a credit, I'll talk about that in a second. But here's the cart. I believe these carts began as action replay carts, and the Pseudo Saturn is then flashed onto the cart, and you have to use a Saturn to do it. And to do it, you actually have to use like the swap. I believe you have to use the swap trick. So to me, paying the labor on someone to do that and then give it to me in a case with the little artwork and all that, I mean, that's something I was willing to do because I don't want to mess with my Saturn. I only have one. So anyhow, this is how it came to me. As you can see, the cart doesn't quite fit perfectly, but it works. It definitely works. This is like a Genesis box or something. So yeah, a little more about Pug's Treasures. So it is a, let's see. So here's Pug's Treasures. Now the person that I corresponded with was actually ended up being pretty cool. I did have when I ordered that. Here's the Pseudo Saturn. $60, right? And then like I said, the games are $19.99 unless there's more than one disc. Like the Panzer Dragon Saga has 2 discs, so he's charging $34.99. If you think about it, I don't know. I know you don't want to charge more for a repro that is more valuable than other games. Like, you don't want to assign. I don't believe that it's correct to assign a higher value to a more desirable game that's a repro, because let's face it, if you're paying for the labor's the same, right? If you're paying for someone's time, their time isn't worth any more when they're making Snatcher than it is when they're making a stall or something like that. So anyways, as you can see, he's got various repros available where he does art and stuff like that added with it. So anyways, when I ordered the cart, it turned out he got more orders for it than normal for this month. So he ended up corresponding with me, apologizing, and offering me a free game. So, and actually, he gave me actually $25 credit on my purchase. So I thought it was pretty cool. If you're looking for something like this, hit the site up. All in all, I think there was a little hiccup with the shipping as well. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks, all in all, by the time I got everything. So not too bad. And for me, like I said, paying for the flashing of this cart is worth it. And so now, we can talk about what it's like using the Pseudo Saturn and all that. So yeah, let's look at it. So here's a close look at the Pseudo Saturn cart. As you can see, he left a spot for version notes on there. This does have 2 versions of Pseudo Saturn. and one of them, there are some games that will only run on one version or the other. It's pretty easy to figure out though. So I'll show you guys the way the interface works. I have no disk in right now, so just show you what it looks like when you boot up the Pseudo Saturn. So I'm using S-Video, and I have it on widescreen, I think. Oh wait, no, I don't. Great. So yeah, this is the main menu. If you have a game in there, it will automatically try to detect whatever you have. So let's just give an example here. Let's go ahead and boot up. Let's just boot up Shinobi. I'm not gonna do any gameplay or anything for you guys. I know it's not a let's play. Oh yeah, by the way, here's another thing. The disc, although it's not amazing, at least the art is screened onto the actual disc. It's not a label, so that's cool. It kind of scratches off easily though. One of them was kind of scratched, and yeah, I mean it looks like the discs are pressed, right? So as far as buying a repro, at least it's not the same as me burning a disc, which actually I think I'm going to show you guys how I burn the disc as well. Okay, so we got Shinobi in there. So it auto boots straight into the game. And yeah, it's pretty cut and dry at that point. So yeah, it's very, very easy to use. And then let's look at one thing I will mention is I think you have to be careful because some games will expect the cartridge to be extra memory. So I had to, before I played, what was it? I believe it was Battle Arena Toshinden. I had to remove my battery, the 2032 battery from the back of the Saturn, and put it back in to reset the memory, and then after that it let me boot the game. The game was, I can't recreate the problem, but the game was booting and giving me a weird error message. So here's a game I burned, Cotton 2. See, so it's like this one is asking for, I believe it's asking for one of the expanded memory, but that's okay because the cart actually does provide the 1 or 4 meg memory. So actually I'll get out a legit game too that requires that, and we'll look at that too. Anyways, I can't read any of this because I suck. But yeah, there's Cotton 2. Sweet. Yeah. And another thing briefly I'll touch on, I kind of saved a lot for this video, guys, just to squeeze it all in. I want to touch on this Hori Fighting Stick that I found. I found this at Game Zone in Gardena, California, and I think this was only like 34 they asked for it, or 30? No, it was 30. I think they had a promo going. But anyways, yeah, this is a Hori joystick. It's weird if you open it up inside, these buttons, although on the surface they may appear to be the same type of button you use in a regular fight stick, they are not. So you can't switch. To do mods on this is difficult because these are not micro switches. It's a board like you would find inside of a controller, and it's just making, there's a little pad underneath this button that makes contact with the board directly. So, I mean, overall, it works fine. It's very noisy though. Kind of satisfying though, in a way. Anyways, if you guys, I mean, the cool thing about this too is there are great fighting games for the Saturn. So if you can find this, I have also the Saturn arcade joystick, and I prefer this to that. The other thing is you can get an adapter. Well, I'll show it to you. It's right here. You can get this adapter that lets you use the Saturn control for your Dreamcast. So then all of a sudden now you can play all the great fighting games on Dreamcast with it as well. So if you guys ever see one of these, I recommend it. It's not as good as a modern day Hori Fight Stick, but for Saturn games, it's awesome, man. This is perfect for Virtua Fighter and all that. So, okay, there's my little tangent I went on. So, back to Pseudo Saturn. So, there we go. That was a burn game that I burned. And as you can see, once again, it just booted right up. The software is pretty good at detecting the needs, like which game is in there and knowing what to do with it. So there's a burn game, and then let's try. I actually haven't tried. This is Puyo Puyo. I actually have not tried. I just bought this just for testing, and I mean, I'm sure I could probably figure out how to play Puyo Puyo. I've never played it. So let's see. Detected real Saturn disc. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, 9 times out of 10, it just auto boots just fine. And I haven't experienced any weird glitches or anything like that either, so. Oh, there's Puyo Puyo, apparently. Yeah, I know this is kind of ghetto, guys, but I didn't set up any screen capture action. This is fully, like, first-person experience. Thank you for enjoying the first-person experience. Okay. What does that say? I don't know what that says. Oh, man. Oh, I get it. 1 player, 2 players, 1 player. I don't know. Select your character. Oh, I went back. Anyhow, this game is functioning fine, as you can see. Which is pretty much all I wanted to show. So, yeah, let me see it. I'm wondering, I'm trying to remember which game it was. There was one game I would play. Oh, I think it was yeah, no, I think it was Panzer Dragon 2. Which, wow, this game is so cool. I mean, the first one was cool, but it admittedly just somehow felt like it was lacking a little bit of depth. And I feel like this game, the second game, really, they kind of filled it in. Yeah, so there's a direct print on label from Pug's Treasures. Alright. Let's see. Is it gonna get it? Because what happened, the one problem I did have is it would partially boot the game and then it would get stuck. Let's see. Oh, by the way, this game has widescreen. And that's so cool. It's the only Saturn game that I have, I think, that lets you do widescreen, or that wants you to use widescreen. Let's see. Well, it looks like it's working. Anyhow, I can sort of just describe the issue that I did find. Oh wait, is it gonna do it? Maybe it's doing it, and I can show you guys. Okay, so see how it's stuck? It got stuck loading, right? So this is what I'm gonna do. Restart it. And we're gonna choose, let's see, our version. So we're gonna use this one, 0.832. We're gonna boot with that one. And then now, I think now it will work. Let's see if we can get past that. Yeah. There we go. See, so that's the only thing I've come across. And I mean, I guess that's probably why he put 2 versions on there. So, but yeah, so that's the Pseudo Saturn. And kind of, yeah, just overview of my experience with Pug's Treasures. So look them up online. And I think I'm going to show you guys the process that I use to burn games too. So let's check that out real quick. Okay guys, so here's my messy desktop on my other computer. So what are you gonna need? Obviously you're gonna need to download your files, and you know you're gonna, that's the one thing is I actually download all the files to my mobile devices and extract them onto there, and then once they're extracted, I'll move the folders onto my PC. I don't like to have this computer connected to the internet, especially when you're downloading stuff like this. I just feel like it's safer to keep my main collection safe, because there's a lot of ROMs on this, a lot of backups. Okay, so what you'll need other than having downloaded your files is you should probably grab image burn or img burn and the Saturn region patcher. What's it called? Saturn region patcher gold edition. You probably can't read it very well, but Saturn region patcher. Anyways, yeah, you want to download those programs. You can find them for free on the internet, and just Google them up, and you can find them. And then so yeah, the region patcher is really useful because when you first get a ROM, when you get a file, you know that should be a correct bin and Q file or like an ISO or something like that, you're gonna be able to open that file in the region patcher and see if it is in fact a real Saturn file and all that. So let me actually walk you through that. So you just go to select an image. You can actually, if you have a disk you want to check the region of, you could do that too if you put it in your drive, but we're not going to do that. We're going to browse, and we're going to pick something off the desktop that's a game I grabbed. Actually, yeah, let's burn Rayman. Let's do a copy of Rayman. So you go in here and you're going to grab, like, this one is just a bin file. So, okay. Now, one thing I'll mention is you don't want to, if you're using Pseudo Saturn, you don't really need to change the region of the original game. I think I changed the region on a couple of the ones that I burned, and I think it messed with the resolution. That's what actually part of why I chose to burn Rayman right now, is because I had switched it to North American, and it said the peripheral code was Japan, and I think the one I got was a Japan one. So I patched it back to have that. And well, shoot, actually PAL, I don't know, I'm gonna repatch this image again. So you can put up to three areas. So I think if I patch it this way, okay, so, and then it says file patched. I think if I patch it this way, it's gonna fix the resolution problem I had on the first disk I burned. But yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. You can, and if you deselect, it'll let you choose a different one, but you can only have a maximum of 3 areas that you want it to work. But I would say, you know, if you're using Pseudo Saturn, it's already going to play the disk no matter what region it is. So you may as well, once you've detected that it is a legit Saturn bin file, then I would say just go from there and just, you know, go ahead and burn it. Anyhow, so that's why we have the region patcher, just to verify what it is that we're about to put on the disk. If you wanted to use like Daemon Tools Lite to run your emulator and actually test the image, I guess you could, but I don't really do that. So, and then you can open image burn right here, or img burn, I don't know what the hell it's called. Free is what it's called. Okay, so as you can see, we have a lot of options here. I already have a disk in the drive, and we already have an image that's compatible to burn. One thing that might be helpful in certain situations is right here to create an image from other files, because you might download a game that is an incompatible format like MDS, MDF, and you can actually use image burn to rip that image and then put it into ISO format, and then you can burn a disk with the ISO. You might have varying degrees of success if you don't. There was a game I burned that had separate sound files, and I think I would have had to mount that to a like you may have to mount to a virtual clone drive sometimes to get a good rip using this option. But anyways, I'm focusing on the ROMs I find that are bin.q files or just straight like ISO already. So if you find your game and you download it and extract it, and you know your zip file or your RAR file that you downloaded has bin.q, that's a good one to choose because the bin and q files play very nicely with IMG burn. So yeah, we're gonna write image file to disk, and we're gonna select a file. Road rash. We're gonna go to, there's Rayman. And when you patch, by the way, when you patch it, it just replaces the file you have. So that's one thing you kind of, if you wanted to have it in the original state you got it after you patch it, you'd probably have to download it again or make a copy to begin with. Anyhow, so it wants you to point it to the Q file, and then it'll know what to do with the bin file. So here's the bin file. It's associating it with a different program, but it's not a Super Nintendo ROM, as you know. So okay, we're gonna choose the Q file, open that up, and make sure your write speed is as low as you can. You know, I put it on 4, but yeah, the Saturn really wants it to be low speed. You could also click this if you want, and the program will basically try to verify what it's burned. I don't know, I figure once the disk is burned, the deed is done, and sometimes that verification can take a while, so it's quicker for me to verify it by taking the disk and putting it in my putting it in my Saturn and seeing if it works. So but yeah, let's go ahead and burn it, and then it's gonna get going, and you know, it takes a while, so we'll show you how it gets started and then we'll come back to it. It has to buffer for a good minute, and there it gets. Here we go. Okay, so now when this progress bar is done, it'll be done. So yeah, we'll come back to it when it's finished and go from there. Okay, almost there. So that took maybe, well, there you go, time elapsed 4.5 minutes. Okay, so the operation is complete. So let's go pop this in and see what we get. Alright, so we got our backup of Rayman here that we've created for backup purposes. And as I said before, when I burned this game initially, I was losing a little bit of the image at the bottom of the screen, and I think it might be due to the way that I patched the image. So hopefully when it boots this time, we'll see the whole image resolution will be correct. Let's see. I remember when I first got this game, I was very excited as a youth, as a young lad. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell whether I'm losing. Let's see. Yeah, that's weird. So, anyhow, that's one thing that I haven't figured out. Maybe once I've patched it, there's no way to fix it unless I grab the image again. But anyhow, as you can see, we burned a game. This is the only one I found where I had that problem, where I was losing part of the image. And like I said, I think I just patched it to the US region, and I shouldn't have. I should have left it. But yeah, there you go, guys. So, creating backups, you know, Pseudo Saturn, Pugs Treasures, Hori Fighting Stick SS. We covered a lot today, so. And just to take my, you know, to put out my point of view on repros and all that, I think with carts, it's a big problem. You know, I think with certain systems, obviously, it's a problem. Things like TurboGrafx, CD, you've got games where people have made repros and it's impossible to tell the difference, nearly impossible. That's definitely a problem. With something like this, with the Saturn, where you need a soft mod on your device, some kind of mod to play it, I don't see that as an issue because someone could, you know, if someone just tried to play this game in their regular Saturn, it wouldn't work, and it'd be clear that it was a copy. Obviously, this person, even though they're using the art, the original art, they're not trying to pass this off. There's limited color on the disc and stuff, so it doesn't. To me, it's not. I'm not offended by this. I think this is great because I can't afford this game, and I would never be able to play it because I don't. Saturn emulation is pretty unstable basically, and I could hardly get anything to work on the emulators I've tried to use. So personally, I'm fine with this, and you know, but I do, you know, I want to say that you know, it's a touchy subject. Also, you know, things like relabeling your old games and stuff like that. You know, creating your own labels. It's a touchy subject. It depends where you stand. But please don't hate me. I'm not supporting any criminal activity from what I can tell. The person that creates these repros does it in a way where it's not, they're not trying to make a counterfeit. They're making their own reproduction that looks okay in your collection. These are tiny little, you know, this is obviously clearly not trying to be passed off as a reproduction. So, yeah, that I think that should avoid, you know, any heat hopefully from y'all out there. But yeah, there you go. So we covered a lot. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video was entertaining or useful to you. And I'll catch you next time.